Well, good morning and welcome to our June Spotlight webinar for the BNI Foundation featuring our Business Voices movement. I want to really give a great welcome to Virginia Payne, who is with the Reading Foundation, and she has an amazing program that she's going to talk about today with us. And just by way of introduction to you that are on the call that maybe haven't been on one of our Spotlight webinars before, this is a part of the work we're doing within the BNI Foundation for our Business Voices movement as a way or a caveat to help members and directors of BNI and anyone in the general public who happens on our calls to learn a little bit more about organizations that have a national reach here in the U.S., that have chapters or local organizations, local outlets that you can get involved with in your own community. And that's really important. That's what Business Voices is all about. It's about all of us as business owners and BNI members and chapters being the conduit for resources from the business community who has resources, who has access to the T3 equation, using your time, your talent, and your treasure to help the educational and nonprofit schools and organizations like the Reading Foundation right in your own backyard. The goal in doing this is to prepare our youth to leave high school well educated and ready for either college or to go into the workforce. We all need to be able to employ educated, ready to work staff, and this movement is going to help us make sure that that's available for us in our own communities. So without further ado, I would like to introduce, we have Virginia Payne on the call with us this morning, and we have her associate Salem Rybolt that's going to be on the call as well. Virginia, I would love to welcome you to the call, and if you will tell us your official titles and the capacity with your organization, and then take it away. You've got a great presentation in store for us, and really looking forward to getting this material.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Beth. Thanks for having us on the webinar today. I am Virginia Payne, the National Director of Ready for Kindergarten, which is a program of the Children's Reading Foundation. I also have with me Salem Rybolt. She is our Outreach and Development Director, so she works directly with other Reading Foundation chapters across the nation, and I work with those who have Ready programs across the nation. So again, thank you so much for having us on the webinar today, and we're so excited because we know from all of our previous communication that our organization is completely aligned with the BNI Foundation and Business Voices. As you know, and we know, we all want children to be successful in school and in life. So with that being said, let's just dive right in. We've got a lot of content.
I want to interject one quick thing. You are also a BNI member, is that right, Virginia?
My husband and I own two businesses. We are in BNI groups here locally, and he is also a director consultant with Will locally here. And Salem has been a director consultant for how long, Salem?
I've been a director consultant for many years. I'm actually more of a director consultant at large at this point for BNI Inland Empire, Will Gaisley's organization. So I am a longtime BNI member, and actually came to work here at the Children's Reading Foundation based on the work I did with chapters here locally. They recruited me to work with their chapters nationally.
So really, you guys are family. We love it.
Yes.
And we love BNI.
Yes, we do. We use them all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Great. We really, truly do understand that connection.
Yes.
Well, welcome, and please take it away.
Awesome. So today we're going to talk about predicting and preventing student failure. So if you could predict and prevent student failure, would you? 64% of parents believe a child will catch up to other children within a year or two, and 27% of parents believe a child will be behind other children throughout the school years, and 9% of parents just aren't really sure. But sadly, every year 40% of children walk into kindergarten 1 to 3 years behind, and these students struggle to catch up, but most of them never do. So school readiness, does it really matter? Yes, absolutely. The most predictive factor of school success is the skills a child has on the first day of kindergarten. It's in the homes and not the schools that the 5-year literacy gap before kindergarten is created. As any kindergarten teacher can tell you, children don't start school with the same language and literacy skills. On day 1 of kindergarten, there's a 5-year range that persists through 12th grade. I can speak to that directly as I taught kindergarten, 1st, and 2nd grade for 15 years. And every year I would see this 5-year range. Out of every 10 children in an average school district, 2 enter kindergarten with the language and literacy skills 2 to 3 years below grade level. That's the red and orange circle you see on this slide. 2 enter a year behind, that's the yellow circle. 2 enter at grade level, that's the green circle. And the top 4 children will start 1 to 2 years above grade level. That's the blue and teal circles up here. And I'm referring to those because we're going to follow those on the next slide, you'll see. A child's learning from birth to 5 is critical, and it determines their kindergarten starting point. And there you see those circles again that we talked about on the slide before. Although most parents believe children who start behind will catch up within a year or 2, that is not the reality. Students who enter kindergarten have a monumental undertaking to catch up with their classmates. Using data from more than 8 million students nationwide, the dots on this graph represent the vast range of skills children have when starting kindergarten. The data is grouped into those colored bands matching entering kindergarten levels that we showed on the previous slide. As students progress from grade to grade, they typically make 1 year of academic growth for each year in school. It's extremely hard for students to move beyond the band where they started school because they need to achieve their normal year of growth plus another year of growth or more to move up a level. So students who enter kindergarten 1 to 3 years behind their classmates, the yellow, orange, and red bands, will have a very difficult road ahead to move up even 1 level without a massive amount of intervention. In fact, 80% of students remain within the same band their entire school career. Highest performing students have only a 6% chance of dropping out of high school. Yet sadly, the lowest group of students have a 55% chance of dropping out of high school. And it's also important to note that the highest performing group has an 81% chance of going to college, while the lowest group have no chance of going to college. So, as you see from this slide, all children can and will improve and make that year's worth of growth, but most will never catch up to their classmates. And this means that these starting points that we talked about matter. So let's look at this data another way. If we look at the range of 2nd grade reading levels, that's those range, that first dot there, when does a student in the lowest group, right here, finally read at the same level his or her higher peers was able to read in 2nd grade? It's not until 7th grade. That is 5 years later. And this matches that 5-year range in kindergarten skills shown previously. Teachers do an amazing job trying to catch kids up every year, as well as providing those students who are in the higher groups suitable learning experiences. So students at all levels make growth, but the gap remains.
The 5-year gap in reading scores exists even before the 2nd grade, as Virginia just said. And other research proves that the gap exists before children begin school. As Virginia said, schools do accomplish this single year of growth for nearly all children, regardless of the parent's socioeconomic status, educational level, ethnicity, but schools cannot effectively close multi-year gaps. There simply isn't time. It's important to realize that before the 3rd grade, students learn to read. And after 3rd grade, they must read to learn. Students who are behind in reading now need much more time to master the same content as other students, but at the same time, they may need to take up to 2 hours each day away from other subjects to learn grade-level reading skills. And by high school, it's much harder to keep many of these kiddos in school, let alone have them get in 2 hours of remedial reading. Okay, I think I've lost mouse control here. Here we go.
There we go, right there.
Sorry about that. But really, the good news is there's something that you can do about it. The most predictive factor of school readiness is the skill the child has on the first day of kindergarten. So how prepared children are when they enter kindergarten matters. So what can you do? It's in the homes, not the schools, that the 5-year literacy gap before kindergarten is created. And the easiest place to change the child's academic trajectory is during the years of birth to age 5.
So those first 5 years, wow, is all we can say. A child learning from birth to 5 is critical, and it is during these years that strong brain connections are formed that determine how children will think, learn, and grow. The parents and caregivers of the top 40% of students ensured their children were ready for kindergarten and school success by doing a few key things. Reading 20 minutes every day to their children beginning at birth, talking to them, and spending another 5 to 10 minutes each day on an age-appropriate literacy, math, or social skill. And this daily routine gave those children their best lifelong advantage. This data, if I can get to the next screen, there we go. This data is compiled and analyzed from the Northwest Evaluation Association, and it clearly demonstrates that 100% of the achievement gap in reading begins before birth and 67% of the gap in math. That's pretty astounding. If you do not know the name James Heckman, he is a professor with the University of Chicago and a Nobel laureate in economics. I highly recommend you find more information about him on his website. But Professor Heckman found that early nurturing, learning experiences, and physical health from birth to age 5 greatly impact success or failure of the student in school and in society, and that the most economically efficient time to develop these skills and abilities is in the early years when developmental education is most effective. His work proves that enhancement and prevention through investing in early childhood development is more life and cost-effective than remediation. In a longitudinal study, he found that individuals who had received quality early childhood education scored higher on achievement tests, attained higher levels of education, required less special education, earned higher wages, were more likely to own a home, and were less likely to go on welfare or be incarcerated. Not only is it early childhood learning right for kids, it's the economically smart move for every taxpayer, and for you folks in BNI, for every businessman and woman. Now, we've spoken a lot about how important it is for children to begin kindergarten at or above a 5-year-old level, which will help them succeed throughout school and life. Ready for Kindergarten, that's our program, helps prepare children for success in school by providing training and tools to engage parents and caregivers, equipping them to help babies and young children develop those strong brain connections necessary to develop their minds before the first day of school.
So how did our nonprofit, the Children's Reading Foundation, and our premier program, Ready for Kindergarten, come about? Well, we're going to have to go back about 20 years for that answer. Have you ever heard this slogan, read together 20 minutes every day, or maybe the notion about reading 20 minutes together every day from birth, or maybe during a child's school career? Well, then you probably heard it because of our message from the Children's Reading Foundation. We were formed back in 1996, almost 20 years ago, as a movement of concerned citizens initially assessing, guess what, high school dropout rates. Their work was originally focused on parents and caregivers reading daily with the child with the message, read together 20 minutes every day. Imagine a community resonating this message that moves from an idea to a daily ritual. I will tell you quickly, I had the privilege of living in and raising my kids in this community where this all started. And may I say that the impact was real. It felt positive, and I compelled my actions with my kids. Similar to the seatbelt campaign, I couldn't remember the first time I heard the message about buckling up, and I couldn't recall the first time I'd heard about the importance of reading 20 minutes a day with my kids. I just did it. The message was in my community on reader boards, on buses, in backpacks and homework folders, and even at the doctor's office. And nearly 2 decades later, as a national nonprofit organization with chapters and programs across the country, we continue to believe in this movement and developed our premier program, Ready for Kindergarten. We continue to build partnerships and broad awareness of our vision, mission, and messaging, including our focus on ensuring that parents and caregivers understand that reading 20 minutes a day with a child from birth is the most important thing they can do to aid in a child's overall learning and development. Our multifaceted approach, message, and our premier school readiness program, Ready for Kindergarten, ensures students enter kindergarten ready to learn and are reading at grade level by the end of 3rd grade.
As part of the work, oops, I went ahead one, sorry. Let me go back, sorry, back up. Nope, I'm going forward. Let's see, here we go, let's back up. That's the slide I want right there. So, as Salem mentioned, the Children's Reading Foundation got its start about 20 years ago with that message of reading 20 minutes a day, and they felt that if you could just do one thing and one thing only with your kids, that would be it. As they continued their work, the Ready for Kindergarten program was developed in about the year 2000-2001 using groundbreaking research by early learning experts at the national headquarters here in partnership with the Kennewick School District to support the goal that 90% of students would read at or above grade level by the end of 3rd grade. Now, being a teacher myself in the past, that was a very bold goal 15 years ago, but one that was achieved. A few years after launching Ready for Kindergarten, the 90% reading goal was met, and now school districts across the nation have this same reading goal. Today, Ready for Kindergarten is the national model for school readiness, engaging parents and caregivers in their child's learning from birth to age 5. Ready provides training and tools equipping parents and caregivers to help babies and young children develop strong brain connections for success in school and life. The foundation of the Ready program is our 26 age-level targets or measurable skills in these areas, language and literacy, math and reasoning, and social and emotional. These are the skills the typical 5-year-old must have by the time he or she starts kindergarten. We developed these research-based targets working closely with families, scientists, and educators during a 7-year span. Parents and caregivers aim for these targets in supporting their child's intellectual, social, and emotional growth. This just gives you a peek at, go the other way, a peek at our targets. This is a poster that we can offer online as well. I know you can't read them very well, but this is the proprietary Ready for Kindergarten age level developmental targets, and it details the 26 different target areas that define what a child should be able to do at each level between birth and age 5 to be ready to enter kindergarten. And again, these targets are the foundation of the Ready for Kindergarten program. Now, we have examples like this from around the country of this kind of success with our program, but here's just one. Panhandle Alliance for Education in Idaho reports that 44% of their Sandpoint School District children entered kindergarten testing below proficiency for learning readiness. But after the first year, and every year since starting the Ready program from birth to 5, 90% of students entered their school testing above kindergarten readiness levels.
Ready for Kindergarten is in 25 states across the nation and growing, and in the fall of 2014, the Children's Reading Foundation was awarded an Innovative Approaches to Literacy grant through the U.S. Department of Ed. And this 2-year grant is for $3.8 million, helps to provide our groundbreaking literacy and early learning initiatives to those communities who need it most. So what we do matters, and what you do matters too. Take a minute and look at this video we created to help you see our point. We're going to try to get it to play, Beth. We're going to give it a try.
No.
I have confidence we can get it to play.
I'm trying to go back and it's not going back, Beth. There we go.
Okay, here we go.
Every year, all across America, 4 out of 10 kids are already behind on the first day of kindergarten. Some of us only have the skills of a 3-year-old, while others read like an 8-year-old. That's a 5-year range. Those who start behind work hard to catch up, but most never do. And by the end of 3rd grade, 74% of struggling readers won't ever catch up. Without a strong foundation in reading, we are left behind at the beginning of our education. But there is something you can do about it. Our learning journey begins long before we enter the schoolhouse doors. It starts at home. Did you know we are learning from the moment we're born? From birth to age 5, we learn faster than at any other time in our lives. Waiting until we start school limits our potential. Families and caregivers are our most influential teachers because you are who we love. When you read, talk, and play with us from birth to 3rd grade, our minds grow strong and bright. But don't take my word for it, I'm just a kid. Experts, researchers, and teachers know these interactions prepare us for all future learning. Reading, science, math, and more. Plus, we'll have deeper social and emotional connections. We're not only ready to do great things in school and life, but communities also win, with lower crime rates, a stronger economy, and healthier and happier families. The research is clear, so is the solution. The Children's Reading Foundation knows the way. With their proven programs, they've helped students across the nation thrive for decades. Families, schools, communities, what you do during our earliest years matters. Learn how you can give us our best future by providing our best possible start. Connect with the Children's Reading Foundation today.
Oh, that's really great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So audience, our question for you is, what are you going to do? What are you willing to do to make a difference? And because we are in a BNI, friend setting here, I think the coolest thing that we could do is to speak your language. So the number one thing that you can do, what BNI could do to make a difference, would be to find a local program. And you can connect with us. There's going to be a slide here in a minute that will show you how to get in touch with us. Find a local Ready for Kindergarten program or a local chapter of the Children's Reading Foundation, and then just explore what it would take to help, to find out more about what they're doing, to ask those 5 questions, to figure out how connected those groups are to their school districts, so that those important 5 questions can be asked and answered, and those needs can be uncovered. But the second thing that you can do, my BNI friends, is to give us some referrals, and also to refer to those local programs if you can. But if you wanted to connect with us, one of the things that you could do to ensure a relevant future, a literate society, and a free country is to really think about who do you know that are state early learning directors? Do you have friends, neighbors, in-laws, outlaws who are involved in early learning? We would love to be connected with those people because those decision makers can fund programs. Our program is always, always, always free to parents. But there becomes a burden of economic need to be able to fund the program for the parents. So we also need connections to community foundations, corporations, and others with funds and a mandate to do social change. You think about different companies that are doing, things for good. Well, we know that that's becoming very, very high up on the priority level for business owners, is to do good and give back. We would love to know who those folks are and be connected with them and show them that equation of not only your T3, the time, treasure, and talent give back, but also this, amazing return on investment in early learning. And then also, even down to a school or district level of early learning directors, we also need to be connected with those people as well. So, as BNI Business Voices continues on, we are so thrilled and proud to give you this information today and offer you an opportunity to connect with us and connect with our local programs, and perhaps even reach out to Virginia and myself on how you can further be involved.
And so with that being said, again, we'd really love to thank you, Beth, for inviting us to be here today. On this slide, you'll see our contact information. We're both in the same office, so either phone number will get us. And there was a small error on Salem's email. It is actually srevolt@readingfoundation.org.
But just email Virginia. She'll get it to me.
I will, definitely.
So Virginia and Salem.
On our last slide, I'm just going to put this up while we're finishing up. We do have two separate websites. There's the readyforkindergarten.org website, the childrensreadingfoundation.org website, and then we also have a Twitter, Ready for Kindy, and Facebook for both, and a YouTube channel. Those three things, the YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, can all be found on the Ready for Kindergarten site. And now we're ready for questions from the audience.
And I am just going to take us back to this slide because I would like your permission if there's anything on here that you would not like us to repost on social media. I would like to, of course, make that correction. Salem for your email address, but yes. Repost this on our social media if that's all right with you.
Absolutely.
We love it.
Okay, and then we'll make sure we go and like your Facebook page and retweet your tweets and things like that to help give you exposure. I'm just really, really delighted with the connection and want to thank Will for his noble networking efforts to connect us, because what you're doing is so profound and really very, very beneficial and totally goes to that end goal we have to improve high school graduation rates, and I am convinced beyond belief. So thank you. I would like to give all of us on the call a chance to ask questions of Virginia or Salem or even myself. So you have a question bar on your control panel. If you'd like to type in your question, we'll be happy to take those questions as they come up. And Brian has asked the first question, can you send him the URL for that powerful video, Virginia? Because we would like to be able to repost that video link on our page. So he is Brian B at BNI.com. Brian, you can send me a chat if I gave out your address incorrectly. I'm pretty sure it's Brian B at BNI.com. Okay. And we have a question from Lonnie that says, is there a way we can have the target page sent through an email? She would like to review it and she would like to forward the video to her team. So yes, I can send that page to you, Lonnie. And if anyone else would also like that, you can send me a request, bethmeisner@bni.com, and I will send you whatever content. I know Brian will be posting some of the pages up on the social media, which he does with our calls, and we can get that out to you, yes. Glenn has a question. Oh, go ahead, Virginia.
If folks would go to the readyforkindergarten.org website, on the right-hand side there's a little button you can click that says Request Free Materials, and that will get them onto an email set of emails that we have, and one of those emails contains that target poster, and there are lots of other information in those emails as well, but if they go there and just enter their name and information, they will start to receive those 4 emails that come along, and they'll get that information in those emails. And they can also pass that link to other folks who are interested as a way to get them some more information. Even if they don't know all the information, that's how they can pass that on. We are also letting people know that they can go to our Facebook page, and that video is being shared there as we speak.
Excellent. Great.
That's an easy way for your folks to get it is our amazing social media specialist is already on it.
Mm-hmm.
So by the way, was a BNI member for many, many years.
I love the synergy. That's wonderful. So we have our next question. This one I'll throw to you, Virginia and Salem, so you can address this one. Glenn asks, how should we start the conversation with early school directors? What would that look like?
So as being a teacher and having been in this position for 7 years, I believe the first question you would ask someone is literally, does your school have a problem with children entering kindergarten not ready to learn? And I guarantee you their answer will be, yes, we have that problem, and it's very, very big. Nationwide, it's 40 to 50% of kids are entering kindergarten not ready. And that costs thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars to school districts every year in remediation costs. And as you saw in our slide presentation, the catch-up is not happening. And regardless of the work that schools do, and they do a lot of work to remediate, to give kids exactly what they need, but it takes monumental effort. If a child enters 2 years behind, just think of this. They have to make 2 years of catch-up growth and a year of regular growth every year to catch up. It's monumental. Mm-hmm. So that would be the first question I would ask.
In areas like Austin and Southern California, one of the problems, and I've gone to a center here that, because you guys aren't in Texas yet, is the language issue. We have so many non-English speaking kindergartners coming in. So now they have to learn English, much less even being taught to read in their own language, which is not happening either.
Correct. And, you know, the beauty of our program is we offer it in English and in Spanish, which means that Spanish-speaking parents can come to the class and get all the materials that they need in their language. However, we've had people use it with non-Spanish-speaking, non-English families as well. So we've had, you know, Somalis and Russians and Vietnamese and just every, you know, anything you can think of, we've had folks use it because it's very adaptable. And so it's the beauty of our program. It's well done, it's well laid out, it's well researched, it's kind of turnkey for folks to get the program going. And as Salem mentioned, funding is generally the biggest barrier. So if you folks are out there talking to people and you hear of foundations who have a mandate to meet this need of parent engagement and getting kids ready for kindergarten, we have a program for them if they have the funding.
Could I ask a question?
Go ahead, please.
If a BNI chapter or a region wanted to sponsor a program for a school, what would the cost be to sponsor a program for a school?
So some of the program costs vary depending on administrative costs for the district. Like, do they have to pay someone to be the director of the program? Will they have to rent a space? You know, those are variable costs that we can't control. But the cost of the program from us is less than $300 a child a year. So if you go in and say, we want to, and I can give, if anyone's interested, go ahead and email me. I'll give you exact number so they can go right to somebody and say, I want to sponsor this program and I want to sponsor 10 families or 50 families or whatever it is you want to sponsor as a group. And then you would work with that school district organization to figure out how are we going to implement the program.
Okay, good to know. We have a comment from Will, and if anyone else has a question, this is your time to type your question in the question bar. Will says he wants to really say thank you to Virginia and Salem, that they have a wonderful heart and you do phenomenal work. And thank you, Will says. So I can echo that. And then let's see. He's also thanking me for bringing you guys on the call. And I just want to throw that back to you, Will, and thank you for thinking of the partnership that was there and the potential for that, because I can just envision, this next upcoming month that members who are going to hear about this program can do things like take your chapter members on a tour. I imagine you have the ability for us to visit a program as it's being taught, or some type of a meeting that we could go to kind of see it in action. Is that right?
Yes, absolutely. On the readyforkindergarten.org website, there's a spot where you can search for programs, and you can type in your zip code and see if there's one near you. If there is not one near you, then you need to get one going near you.
Right. I've seen really amazing things happen when members go to watch a program being done, and they start thinking while they're in that environment, oh, I could plug in here, or my wife could help over there, and they're how can I help you? Juices are flowing, and they're ready to jump in and do something to help. All right. Any further questions? This will be the last call for questions, and then we'll let you both make finishing comments if you'd like, and we'll be done with the call today. Any other questions? I don't see any hands up or questions coming through, so you've answered all of our questions, ladies. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks again, Beth, for allowing us to have this opportunity. We are so, so grateful, and our connections with BNI go deep and wide in our office. I would say that on a quarterly basis, we spend well over $30,000 or more with BNI contractors, helping us expand and do our work nationally. And so we are just so grateful and so connected. And I will say for myself, BNI has changed my life. I mean, I know that with the continued success and push of Business Voices, there's going to be many people's lives and children's and families' lives and the cycle of poverty broken as the noble networking efforts continue.
Well, thank you for that. We're so grateful to have been introduced to you and your amazing work. I was sent 2 wonderful books by Virginia and Salem that I plan to keep beside my bedside table until they're read, because it's fascinating information and it's right up my alley. So I really appreciate both of you and appreciate the work that you're doing through Ready for Kindergarten. And again, just would encourage all of our members listening on the call and those who are going to listen to the recording back, find this organization. And truly, if, start one, get it started, plant the seeds, because it is, I'm going to see what I can do right here in Texas to bring you here. You need to be here too.
Yay!
And
Yay!
see what we can do together, okay?
Road trips if you fix